Chapter 16. Tuesday, early evening. Doreen took off her dirty shoes, left them on the deck, and called out, "Scott, you here?" Of course there was just silence. She pulled out her phone and dialed him. "Hey, I'm sorry I missed you." "Not to worry," he said. "We've left you boxes and boxes of stuff to go through, and I've taken pictures of the china. I'm not sure if it's worth selling or not, but I do have somebody I can ask." It was a very long day. "We got your bed, the dining room set, and the hutch. I'm pretty sure you'll probably find more, and if you do, please let me know." I did take a quick glance around. I didn't snoop, and I didn't see anything at first glance, not like when I saw the dining room table, he said warmly. "But I know you said there's a basement and a garage too." "Yes," she said, walking through to the dining room. "I'm in the dining room right now, and I can't believe how big it is without that table here." "Having a hutch on either side and the table really took up a lot of space," he said. "You'll see we left the sideboard and lots of boxes for you." Indeed, at least 8 boxes were on the floor. "Thank you," she said. "I should decide if I want to keep the china, or let it go too. If keeping it, I need a place for it." In her mind she added, hence the hutches. He had left her one, but she wasn't sure if it was big enough to hold all this. "Like I said, it might be valuable." "Well, I know it is valuable," he corrected himself. "But I don't know if it's valuable enough that you want to part with it." "What value are you thinking?" she asked. "Probably 3,000 to 4,000. Potentially more, but I can't be certain yet." She looked down at the dishes and said, "Absolutely, I want to sell them." "Okay," he said. "When you have a moment, put all of the set off to one side and let me know exactly what you have for inventory, and I'll confirm with my specialist. I saw a bunch of extra serving dishes and platters, and that all helps with the value too. And, like I said, if you have any other questions or if you find any other pieces, let me know. It's been lovely dealing with you, Doreen." She smiled and said, "Don't forget. You owe me a ton of paperwork too." He chuckled. "Check your email. There are receipts for everything we've picked up yesterday and today, and I left paper copies of everything for you as well. And if you get a chance, it's really important before the auction that we find any provenance dealing with these pieces." She groaned. "I know. I just haven't had a chance. Or space, apparently, but I feel like I almost emptied your house. I was feeling pretty bad when we took out the dining room table because, with the empty master bedroom, the empty living room, and now the empty dining room, you look like you have no furniture at all." "That's just fine," she said firmly. "I still have an old kitchen table and chairs, and I have a couple chairs in the living room that will do until I figure out what I'm up to. Besides, I needed to clear everything out in order to fix the living room floor." Suddenly remembering what that was all about, she walked back over to the living room and stared down at the wood. "I'll call you as soon as I know anything more." She thanked him and hung up. She stood here, rubbing her face, wondering how her calm, boring life had become so cluttered. She really hadn't needed Penny's added job, she knew her friend needed help, and Doreen really did need the money. Plus, she potentially got a garage full of tools to boot. But now she was exhausted. She walked back to the kitchen, put on the coffee pot, and sagged in a chair. Immediately the animals came toward her, hollering, and she realized they were hungry too. As she finished feeding the last one, she heard a vehicle on the driveway. She walked out to the front to see Mac. She opened the door and smiled at him. When he hopped out with a large pizza box in his hand, she cried out in joy. "I sure hope you plan on sharing that," she said. He grinned at her. "Hey, you probably have enough food in there that I could make another big pasta dish, and chances are you haven't touched all that pasta sauce either, have you?" She nodded. "I didn't know what to do with it," she said. "I ate the leftover spaghetti salad, but the rest of the food is still here." We'll cook tomorrow, he said. But tonight I'm too damn tired and you look terrible. Thanks, she said bluntly. I just came back from working on Penny's garden. I haven't even had a chance for a shower. I completely missed Scott leaving. That's when Mac stepped into the living room. Wow, does this room ever look different? Yeah, what about this one? She asked, and she led him through the door into the dining room. Mac whistled. This is a huge room. I know, she said, but all the dishes are on the floor and now Scott tells me those are valuable too. Mac chuckled. You sound so despondent, and yet this house has been such a gold mine. I know, she said, and now I worry that somebody'll come and steal the china. He nodded solemnly. Go get a quick shower, and I'll set up the pizza on the kitchen table. She shook her head. I don't think I can. I need food. I'll just wash up in the sink and then we'll eat. And that's what she did. So, even though her hair was dusty and dirty, and her bones were so sore and her muscles so fatigued, like warm melted butter, she sat down at the kitchen table and reached for the biggest slice. The funny thing was, he let her. As soon as she had her piece, he picked up the second biggest. She ate slowly, savoring it with her eyes closed. You realize it's almost 7, right? She nodded. Penny had promised me coffee and a donut this afternoon, and I got the coffee but no donut, and I had only taken a couple apples with me. I had planned to pick up soil and my lunch at the same time, but Penny surprised me by making the soil run. I did make an omelet before I left, but I was late leaving this morning. Scott was here with extra men to take the dining room stuff. It was just chaos. And then I got to Penny's place and had so much work to do there before the deadline, she said, her voice gaining a little strength as she explained. Mac asked exactly what she was doing for Penny, so Doreen told him. And then she said, she also said I could have anything I wanted out of the garage because if she sells the house and she's moving back east, she'd just get rid of it at Goodwill. Is there anything you want? You know, she said, tilting her head and looking at him thoughtfully, I think I do. She has a lot of tools there. I used a bunch to get her a garden lamp, set up in a block of cement. Obviously it already had pre-drilled holes, but she had a good drill and several circular saws, even hand saws, and I don't have any of that. He looked at her and asked, do you know what to do with them? No, not really, but I found bolts and got them on using a wrench, she stated firmly. And what I don't know, I can learn. Exactly, he said. I'm quite happy about this. The thing was, he hesitated. She looked over at him curiously as she took another bite of dripping hot melted cheese, and closed her eyes again in joy. When he didn't speak, her eyes flew open and she said, what? He frowned, but a glint of humor was in his gaze as he said, where will you put it all? She snorted. I did think about that, and of course the answer is, in my garage. Except that my garage is full. Maybe this weekend we'll tackle it, he said. Can you still find time to work on my mother's garden? She barely held back the groan because that was the last thing she wanted to do, but it was her weekly job, so it was what she did. She nodded. I have to finish Penny's tomorrow by noon. The photographer is coming early afternoon, so I'm just cleaning up the brick, cleaning up the yard, making sure it all looks pretty, and then I'll fix up the backyard from where I pulled the flowers and the extra dirt. But I should be done by 12. I'll take Thursday off, and we'll go over to your mom's Friday before noon as usual. So maybe Saturday we should take a look in your garage. That would be very nice. I'd love to get that door open and to figure out if the contents are garbage or valuable. From what I saw, it was garbage, he said bluntly. I know. That's what I saw too. But I was hoping maybe something of a useful nature was in there. Once you figure out how much other stuff here is valuable, maybe hold a garage sale for what's left. That's a great idea. I'm just not sure how to do one. I haven't been to one myself. He slowly lowered the piece of pizza in his hand and said, "What?" "That was far too beneath my husband's stature," she said, mimicking her ex. "And I haven't had a chance to do anything here," she complained good-naturedly. "Apparently something and some people have been keeping me busy." At that, he chuckled. "Okay, definitely Saturday," he said. "I'll pick you up and we will go garage sale shopping. There are always lots of garage sales in town during the spring and summer." "Maybe we should do that, then come back and take a look at the garage," she said thoughtfully. "And can the sauce hold until then? If tomorrow doesn't work out?" "If we freeze it, it could," he said. "I'll warm it up again, but you don't want to let food sit for more than 5 days in the fridge." She nodded. 5 days, got it. But she wondered if she actually did. It seemed like the days were running past her so fast that she didn't have a clue if she was coming or going.